What if I told you that something you probably ate this morning is slowly making you dumber? Not in a dramatic sci-fi kind of way, but quietly, consistently, every single day, shrinking your ability to focus, remember things, and think clearly. And what's terrifying is that this isn't some rare exotic poison. It's sitting in your kitchen right now. It might even be in your hand as you watch this. Scientists have been screaming about this for years, and the food industry has spent billions making sure you never connect the dots. Today, we're connecting them. So before you take another bite of anything, watch this entire video, because what you're about to learn might be the most important thing you hear all year. Let's talk about your brain for a second. Your brain is about 3 pounds of the most complex, energy-hungry organ on the planet. It burns roughly 20% of all the calories your body consumes, even though it's only about 2% of your body weight. Think about that. Your brain is working overtime every single second, even while you sleep. It's building memories, regulating your emotions, firing signals across billions of neurons, and making thousands of decisions without you even being aware of it. And to do all of that, it needs very specific fuel. Give it the right fuel and you're sharp, focused, emotionally balanced, and creative. Give it the wrong fuel and things start to quietly fall apart. And here's what nobody tells you. The damage doesn't happen overnight. It's not like eating one bad meal and suddenly you can't remember your own name. It's gradual, it's sneaky. It's the kind of thing where you just start noticing over months and years that your memory isn't quite what it used to be, that you're more anxious than you should be, that you can't concentrate the way you once could, that your moods are all over the place, and you blame it on stress or age or not sleeping enough. But in many cases, in millions of cases, the real culprit is something you're putting in your mouth every single day. So what is it? What is the single worst food for your brain that millions of people eat daily? The answer isn't just one thing, it's a category. And that category is ultra-processed food. But wait, before you click away because you've heard that term before, stay with me, because what we're going to break down today goes way deeper than junk food is bad for you. We're talking about the specific mechanisms, the actual science of how these foods are hijacking your brain chemistry, damaging your neurons, and setting you up for cognitive decline. We're naming names, we're getting specific, and by the end of this, you'll never look at certain foods the same way again. Let's start with the biggest offender, the one that might genuinely shock you: refined sugar. Now, before you say, "I knew it," let me tell you why it's worse than you think. When you eat refined sugar, the kind found in sodas, candy, pastries, most breakfast cereals, flavored yogurts, and thousands of processed foods, your blood glucose spikes fast and hard. Your pancreas scrambles to release insulin. Your brain gets a quick rush of energy, and then a crash. That crash isn't just physical tiredness. Inside your brain, that blood sugar spike triggers a cascade of inflammation. Chronic inflammation in the brain is one of the leading contributors to depression, anxiety, brain fog, and long-term neurodegenerative diseases. Research published in the journal Nutrients has shown that diets high in refined sugar are directly associated with reduced BDNF, that's brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which is basically the fertilizer your brain uses to grow new neurons and maintain the ones it already has. Low BDNF is found consistently in people with depression and Alzheimer's disease, and you're reducing it every time you reach for something sweet and processed. But here's where it gets really disturbing. Sugar is engineered to be addictive. Studies done at Connecticut College and Princeton University found that sugar activates the same reward pathways in the brain as cocaine. When you eat something sugary, your brain releases dopamine, the feel-good neurotransmitter. That feels amazing, so your brain wants it again and again. And over time, just like with any addictive substance, you need more of it to feel the same hit. Your dopamine receptors literally down-regulate. This means that over time, everyday pleasures, a sunset, a conversation with someone you love, a moment of quiet, feel less rewarding because your brain has been conditioned by sugar to expect a far bigger chemical hit than real life can naturally provide. That's not a metaphor, that's neurological reprogramming, happening bite by bite. Now let's talk about something even more insidious, and this one is in almost every processed food on the market: trans fats and industrial seed oils. For decades, we were told that butter and saturated fat were the enemy, so the food industry replaced them with hydrogenated vegetable oils and heavily processed seed oils. Think soybean oil, canola oil, sunflower oil, in their highly refined, industrially processed forms. These oils are extracted using high heat and chemical solvents that oxidize them, creating compounds that are genuinely toxic to brain tissue. When you consume these oxidized fats, they get incorporated into your cell membranes, including your brain cells. Your neurons are wrapped in myelin sheaths that are largely made of fat. If you're feeding your brain oxidized, inflammatory fats, those sheaths degrade. Neural communication slows, cognitive function drops. A landmark study from the University of California, San Diego found that people who consumed the most trans fats performed significantly worse on memory tests, even in young, otherwise healthy adults. We're not talking about elderly people. We're talking about people in their 20s and 30s whose brains were already being compromised by the food they were eating every day. And where are these oils hiding? In every fast food fryer, in every bag of chips, in every packaged cookie, cracker, and granola bar that has a long shelf life, in the microwave popcorn you eat on movie night, in the salad dressing that you think is healthy because it says light on the label. They are everywhere, and the food industry loves them because they're cheap, they extend shelf life, and they make food taste appealing. Your brain health is simply not part of the equation. Let's keep going, because we haven't even gotten to one of the most overlooked brain destroyers yet: refined carbohydrates. White bread, white rice, regular pasta, most commercial crackers, pretzels, bagels. These foods are stripped of fiber and nutrients during processing. What you're left with is essentially pure starch, which your body converts to glucose almost as fast as pure sugar. And remember what we said about blood sugar spikes? Same story. But there's something specific about refined carbs that makes them particularly dangerous for your brain over time. When blood sugar spikes and crashes repeatedly over years, it damages the blood vessels that supply your brain with oxygen and nutrients. Small vessel disease in the brain is a major risk factor for vascular dementia, one of the most common forms of dementia in the world. You're not just fogging your brain today, you're potentially laying the groundwork for severe cognitive decline decades from now. There's a reason researchers have started calling Alzheimer's disease type 3 diabetes, because the insulin resistance that develops from years of high sugar, high refined carb diets doesn't just affect your body, it directly affects your brain. Insulin plays a critical role in brain function. It helps regulate neurotransmitter release, protects neurons from oxidative stress, and supports memory consolidation. When your brain becomes insulin resistant, all of those functions start to break down. Scientists at Brown University were among the first to document this connection, and since then, the research has only gotten stronger. The food you eat doesn't just affect your waistline, it affects whether your brain will still be working properly when you're 60, 70, or 80 years old. Now, I want to talk about something that's going to surprise a lot of people: artificial sweeteners. You thought you were being smart. You switched from regular soda to diet soda. You traded sugar for sucralose, aspartame, or saccharin. No calories, right? So no problem, right? Wrong. The research on artificial sweeteners and brain health is genuinely alarming, and most people have no idea. A study published in the journal Stroke, following nearly 4,500 adults over 10 years, found that people who drank at least one artificially sweetened beverage per day had nearly 3 times the risk of stroke and dementia compared to people who drank less than one per week. 3 times! For something that's marketed as a healthy alternative. But how? How can something with 0 calories hurt your brain? The mechanisms are multiple. Artificial sweeteners alter your gut microbiome, and we'll get to why your gut is directly connected to your brain in a moment. They confuse your body's insulin response, triggering a hormonal reaction to sweetness that leads to metabolic disruption even without real sugar. And some research suggests that compounds like aspartame break down into substances that may be directly neurotoxic at high doses. Now, the food industry will tell you the doses in drinks are safe, but when millions of people are drinking multiple diet sodas every single day over decades, those doses add up. Let's talk about the gut-brain connection, because this is where modern neuroscience has completely rewritten what we thought we knew. Your gut has its own nervous system called the enteric nervous system, containing over 100 million neurons. It's sometimes called the second brain, and it communicates constantly with your actual brain through what's called the gut-brain axis, primarily via the vagus nerve. About 90 to 95% of your body's serotonin, the neurotransmitter most associated with mood, happiness, and emotional stability, is produced in your gut, not your brain. So if your gut is damaged, your brain's chemistry is compromised. And what damages your gut? Ultra-processed foods. They destroy the diversity of your microbiome, the trillions of bacteria that live in your digestive system and play a critical role in mental health, immune function, and cognitive performance. Research from Oxford, Harvard, and institutions across Europe has consistently shown that people with more diverse gut microbiomes have better mental health outcomes, sharper cognitive function, and lower rates of depression and anxiety. Ultra-processed diets decimate that diversity. Every meal of chips, fast food, sugary snacks, and artificial additives is a massacre of your microbiome, and your brain pays the price. Here's something else you need to hear, and this one is going to hit close to home for a lot of people: alcohol. Specifically, the way most people drink it in the modern world, regularly, in combination with junk food, often as a stress relief habit. Alcohol is a neurotoxin, full stop. Even moderate drinking causes measurable brain shrinkage over time. A study published in the British Medical Journal that followed over 500 adults for 30 years found that those who consumed moderate amounts of alcohol, what most people would consider a reasonable amount, had a significantly higher risk of hippocampal atrophy. The hippocampus is the region of your brain most critical for forming new memories. When it shrinks, you start losing things: names, words, where you put your keys. Short-term memory becomes unreliable. And then, over time, more serious cognitive decline sets in. And here's the kicker: when people drink, they tend to also eat the worst possible food: pizza at midnight, chips, fast food drive-thrus. The alcohol, plus the ultra-processed food, creates a neurological double punch that compounds the damage exponentially. Now let's talk about something that almost everyone overlooks: high-sodium processed foods. We know excess salt is bad for blood pressure, but most people don't realize that high sodium intake has a direct negative impact on the brain. A 2019 study published in Nature Neuroscience found that a high-salt diet reduces blood flow to the brain, specifically to the hippocampus and frontal cortex, the regions responsible for memory and executive function. It does this by triggering an inflammatory response in the gut that sends signals to the brain through the gut-brain axis, causing the brain's blood vessels to constrict. Less blood flow means less oxygen and fewer nutrients reaching your neurons. The result? Reduced cognitive performance. And the worst part? High-sodium processed food is specifically engineered to be hyper-palatable. It's not just salt, it's salt in combination with fat and sugar, a trio that the food industry has spent decades perfecting to make food as addictive as possible and override your natural satiety signals, so you eat more than you should, more often than you should. And this brings us to what might be the most important thing I'm going to say in this entire video. The food industry is not your friend. It is not neutral. It is not simply responding to consumer demand. It is actively, deliberately, scientifically designing products to override your brain's natural regulatory systems, to make you crave more, eat more, and become dependent on their products for the dopamine hits that real, whole food simply can't match in the short term. Neuroscientists, Food scientists and marketing psychologists are all employed together to engineer the most addictive possible eating experience. The crunch of a chip is engineered. The melt-in-your-mouth quality of an Oreo is engineered. The exact ratio of sugar to fat in a fast food burger bun is engineered. This is the conclusion Michael Moss reached after years of investigative reporting, and it's confirmed by former food industry insiders who have gone on record about the lengths companies go to in order to capture and keep your eating habits. They call it the bliss point, the perfect combination of sugar, salt, and fat that lights up your brain's reward centers more powerfully than almost anything else in your daily life. So what do you do with all of this? You now know that refined sugar inflames your brain and tanks your BDNF, that industrial seed oils damage your neuron membranes, that refined carbs spike your blood sugar in ways that set the stage for insulin resistance and dementia, that artificial sweeteners wreck your gut microbiome and are linked to triple dementia risk, that alcohol shrinks the part of your brain you need to form memories, and that high-sodium processed food cuts off blood flow to your hippocampus, and that all of it is engineered to keep you hooked. So here's what you do. You start paying attention to ingredients, not just calories. If a food has more than 5 ingredients and you can't pronounce half of them, your brain doesn't know what to do with it either. You make whole, single-ingredient foods the foundation of every meal. Eggs, fish, leafy greens, berries, nuts, olive oil, sweet potatoes, foods that have been feeding human brains for hundreds of thousands of years and that come loaded with the antioxidants, healthy fats, vitamins, and minerals your brain is literally built from. You protect your gut by eating fermented foods, fiber-rich vegetables, and legumes that feed your good gut bacteria. You drink water like it's your job because your brain is about 75% water, and even mild dehydration measurably impairs cognitive function. And you don't have to be perfect, nobody is, but you do have to be aware, because awareness is where change begins. The human brain is the most extraordinary object in the known universe. It wrote Shakespeare, it composed Beethoven's symphonies, it put human beings on the moon. It invented the technology that you're using right now to watch this video, and it is slowly being undermined every single day by an industry that profits from your ignorance and your addiction. You didn't know. Now you do, and that changes everything. Share this with someone you love, someone who deserves to know what they're putting in their body and what it's doing to the most important organ they own, because this information shouldn't be hidden. It should be in every school, every doctor's office, every kitchen in America. Your brain built your life. It's time to start protecting it.